Hi there. You're listening to NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Tinbin Ermias. Today, 2 picture books about how we connect with loved ones. In a minute, a story about honoring and remembering people we've lost. But first, we hear from Melanie Florence and Matt James about their new book, The One About the Blackbird. It's about a little boy learning to play the guitar from his grandfather, and they bond over an iconic Beatles song. The author and illustrator spoke about it on NPR's Weekend Edition.
This message comes from LinkedIn, who knows small businesses need a hiring partner to help. LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps you focus on meaningful conversations with the right talent by streamlining the hiring process. From shortlisting candidates to offering AI-powered interview screenings, Hiring Pro saves hirers up to 6 hours a week. Hire right the first time. Get started by posting your job for free at linkedin.com/NPR. Terms and conditions apply.
This message comes from MIDI Health. CEO Joanna Strober shares why they started a virtual care platform for women in perimenopause and menopause.
Our goal at MIDI is to make sure that all women have access to really expert care, starting around 35 and 40, making sure that they get access to all the things that can help them thrive as they're growing older.
MIDI Health, committed to helping women in midlife with perimenopause and menopause care, accessible via telehealth visits at joinmidi.com.
This message comes from Progressive Insurance. You're listening to this podcast, so you've got a curious mind. Did you know that drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average? Visit Progressive.com and get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who save with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
In the children's book, The One About the Blackbird, a young boy learns to play guitar from his grandfather. And there's one song in particular that they love.
Are we allowed to say what song we kind of associated? I mean, it's kind of obvious what song I'm referring to, although I couldn't really say it.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night.
The One About the Blackbird is written by Melanie Florence and illustrated by Matt James. For our series, Picture This, they talk about their shared love of the Beatles.
My parents had that on vinyl and were big Beatles fans. And I mean, Matt, what did you think?
Totally. Blackbird by the Beatles, by Paul McCartney. I am a huge Beatles fan, which, get in line. Once I wrote a letter to George Harrison when I was a kid, and I was like, you have like 500 guitars. I don't have any. You could just send me one, like your worst one.
You were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly.
The One About the Blackbird, like a lot of stuff I've written, it's an intergenerational love story. It's about the connection between a little boy and his grandfather and their shared love of music. Unlike a lot of children's books, it kind of goes very quickly full circle from the little boy and his grandfather to a grown-up and his grandfather. And so it's a very full circle relationship that shows how music connects us and how when somebody is dealing with, in this case, although we don't say it, dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, and maybe forgetting a lot of things, that music is still something that they remember. And it's something that I saw reflected in my own life. And that's sort of what drew me to write it.
I really, as soon as I saw it, I thought, I have to do this. I play in a band with the same guys that I've been playing music with since I was 15. But also my parents are musicians. They go and play old folks' homes, as we call them, retirement homes. And they play dances there. And a lot of the people there had memory issues and they could recall music. And it was just this thing that gave people some normalcy, gave them joy, I suppose.
How much of this do you want me to read?
Here, I'm going to get a guitar and just see if
This is what we did at the book launch.
Yeah, at the book launch, Melanie read the book. I just did Foley, sound effects with the guitar.
Okay. For as long as he could remember, Jack had lived in a house that was alive with music. "Listen to this one," his grandfather would say, putting a record on his turntable. The record would spin and fill up the room with songs so alive that Jack could almost see the notes dancing in the air. I love this. His grandfather was as full of music as his records. He could play drums and keyboards and the trumpet and saxophone, but Jack liked it best when he played songs on his guitar, especially when he played the one about the blackbird. "I want to do that," Jack whispered to his grandfather that night as he tucked him in. "I want to make those sounds." He was afraid his grandfather would say he was too young to make music, but his grandfather smiled. "I always knew you had music in you," he said. Should I leave it at that?
The way I made these pictures, it's sort of like I'm in art school in grade 8. I got all these art supplies. I got paint and I got brushes of every different size. I don't really know which ones are for what you're supposed to do with them. I just can't help myself when I go to art supply stores. I'm an artist in order to sort of keep my art supply addiction going, kind of thing. Mostly it's painted in acrylic paint, but it's acrylic gouache. There's kind of a cartoony looking grandpa. There's a leather couch, which looks like if you're in your 40s or 50s, your grandparents might have had one like this in their basement. There's a lot of stuff that's painted on cardboard and then cut out and then stuck on and then sort of scanned. I found at like a local craft store these disc-shaped pieces of masonite, which is like a press board stuff that I often paint on. So I thought I'm going to make records, and I thought, I love Paul McCartney. I'm going to choose record labels of things that maybe would have been in his record collection. So there's a Chess Records and a Stax Volt, one from London Town, a Paul McCartney solo album. They look like real records.
I had no idea how you did any of this, so this is wild.
Here, I'll show you. These are the records.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was really fun to do, and there's a lot of trial and error. Like this is the first I made a couple of couches. I was going to maybe just have it be all kind of 3D. This is just made out of cardboard and tape, like masking tape. There's some regular old paintings in there. And then sometimes it's a bit of a combo where I'll take a photo of this sort of diorama, say, that I made, and then I'll get it printed out, and then I'll mount that to a board, and then I'll paint on top of that.
I'm fascinated by this. I did not know that that's how you worked. So, and I've looked at this book how many times now, and I did not know that's how it was made. That's amazing.
For me, I'm not technically most skilled artist, but somehow my hand has a brain, and what it says seems to be kind of charming sometimes. I just work until I like it, and I hope that other people like it too. And that seems to be the only, if I have a formula, it's make something that I like.
The number of books that I have ended up writing about the relationship between a kid and their grandparents, it's such a special relationship, especially my grandfather I was really close to. And he was somebody that, I was such a weird kid. I just was so dramatic. And unlike a lot of adults, he never told me to be quiet. He would sit back and listen like I was the most fascinating person in the world. And I think that more than anything made me want to be a storyteller, because he taught me that the stories that I wanted to share were important. He was Indigenous, so in that culture, storytelling is so important. So to share that with him is just something that I still hang on to and inspires my writing.
People often ask, what do I want people to get out of reading a book? Go hang out with somebody who was born in a different decade that you were born in. Enjoy those moments when you have them. You're sitting next to your grandpa singing a song and the sun's shining. Doesn't get much better than that.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Woo! Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life.
That was author Melanie Florence and illustrator Matt James talking about their children's book, The One About the Blackbird. Our series, Picture This, is produced by Samantha Balaban, and for more conversations like this one, head to npr.org/picturethis.
Support for NPR and the following message come from Warby Parker, the one-stop shop for all your vision needs. They offer expertly crafted prescription eyewear, plus contacts, eye exams, and more. For everything you need to see, visit your nearest Warby Parker store or head to warbyparker.com.
This message comes from Jerry. Are you tired of your car insurance rate going up, even with a clean driving record? That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry compares rates side by side from over 50 top insurers and helps you switch with ease. Jerry even tracks market rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Switch with confidence. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/NPR today.
This message comes from Prolon. Feeling heavy and depleted? Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet aims to make it easy to reset your body, habits, and energy. Developed at USC's Longevity Institute, the goal of Prolon's nutrition program is to rejuvenate you from within by working at the cellular level to support fat loss, glowing skin, and sharper focus. Get 15% off plus a bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/NPR.
Up next, And They Walk On. It's a children's book that deals with a heavy topic, the death of a loved one. But the book's author, Kevin Maillard, and its illustrator, Rafael López, didn't want to lean into sadness. Here they are, also on Weekend Edition, discussing their approach to the topic.
After his mom died a couple years ago, fry bread author Kevin Maillard found himself wondering, but where did she go?
I was really thinking about this a lot when I was cleaning her house out. You know, she has all of her objects there, and there's like hair that's still in the brush, or there is an impression of her lipstick on a glass.
Almost like she was both there and gone at the same time. Kevin Maillard found it confusing, so he wrote about it in his new children's book, And They Walk On, about a little boy whose grandma has died. When someone walks on, where do they go? The little boy wonders. Did they go to the market to thump green melons? Perhaps they're in the garden watering a jungle of herbs, or turning saplings into great sequoias.
I started thinking about ways that different people deal with death. And one of these ways, I grew up in Oklahoma, and my mother is an enrolled member of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. And many people in Oklahoma, in Native communities, say walked on when someone dies. And it is just a different kind of transition of their presence from physical to spiritual. It's still sad, but then you can also see their continuing influence on everything you do, even when they're not around.
There was so much similarities between my Mexican roots and Kevin's roots, and I thought walking on reminds me so much of the Day of the Dead, where we celebrate it every year, but not only every year, but we celebrate it every day.
Rafael López illustrated And They Walk On. For our series Picture This, he and Kevin Maillard talk about grief and loss and love.
It really touched me. It was very personal. I lost my dad 35 years ago when I was still young. So I thought there's so much connection with Kevin's story and my own story of my mom continues to celebrate my dad, every day. We talk about something funny that he said. We play his favorite music. So he walks with us every day, wherever we go. He's with us all the time. And I thought, we need to have Kevin because, he's pretty darn cute. And, baby Kevin or a little Kevin would be perfect for this story. The one decision we wanted to make, because we thought it would be too personal, would be to maybe change the story and the characters. So instead of just being the little boy's mother, it was going to be grandmother.
So Raphael was nice and lovely, and he actually put a little 8-year-old boy. Listen to my voice breaking. He put me as the little boy who is looking for his grandma in the story. And I will tell you, Raphael, that when I got the physical copy of the book, I didn't open it for 2 months.
Wow.
I couldn't look at it. There's a picture in the beginning of the book. The little boy walks in his grandma's house, and there's this picture on the wall in the living room of the little boy and his, and his grandma, and they're in a loving embrace. And
You're going to make me cry too, Kevin. All right.
part of the plot of this, right? This kid is wondering where grandma went. It's like, did she step out to go to the grocery store? Did she go fishing?
We start with just very mundane things that you were wondering where she is. But then all of a sudden you turn the page and then you go, whoa, what's going on? We have this gorgeous big old whale and there's grandma on top of the whale's head, fishing. And then you think, wait a minute, is this real or is this in his imagination? So we're trying to go back and forth. Back on the next page is back to reality again. There he is sitting by a rock saying, I will wait.
And Raphael has all of these amazing illustrations that are just fantastical and colorful. And you can see the colors move from somber and they get brighter and brighter and brighter.
I use color as a guide. As Kevin was saying, everything starts with very muted and neutral colors. And as you start to remembering the grandmother, things become more vivid because in Mexico, we celebrate things very much with color. Whether you're eating a very colorful food or you're buying a very colorful dress or you go to the market and the color explodes in your face. So I think we use color a lot to express our emotions. That happens here a lot. A perfect example is when this says the house feels so full, yet it feels so empty. And there's Kevin standing in front of all these boxes that the parents are packing away, who knows, with maybe some of grandma's belongings. Pretty much the whole spread is green. Very few colors in there. And the only color that you see, it's on grandma's apron in the kitchen. That's the only vivid color up there. So I want people to start noticing those things, to really think about what color means and where he is finding this connection with grandma.
It's very purple or lavender, right? Like these very spiritual colors.
The reason I use that purple is because during the Day of the Dead celebrations in Mexico, November 2nd, purple is very prominent. You see these beautiful flags and banners that they hang from all these colonial buildings, and they're all purple. That's why I chose purple. You start with pencil sketches, but everything that you see, every texture that you see in every color was created by hand. I spent a good deal of time, maybe a month or two, creating textures with different things. I use acrylics, and I use watercolors, and I use ink, and then I distress the textures with rags and rollers and, dried up brushes. I look for the harshest brush that I neglected to clean. And I decided this is going to be the perfect tool to create this rock.
It's funny that you mentioned the rock because one of the textures on the rock in one of the early drafts, just like you can look at clouds and see an elephant, I could not help but see an impression of a goblin.
I can always use that and say, this is what I do. I just put all these little extra secret things for kids to find out later on.
Yeah, an Easter egg.
Yeah.
One of the things I always like to have in the illustrations in my books, I always like to incorporate elements of Seminole culture in people's clothing or even in the objects. So we can see a lot of Seminole patchwork in the people's coats or their skirts. And in the end, it's grandma's scarf that goes across the whole page. And it's just beautiful.
I think that's what's refreshing about this book, that we wanted to actually make the combination of so many similar things that Kevin and our cultures have. Because of doing that, we're allowing other people to see themselves and their own traditions into this book, into the story.
I mean, I had no conception of what it was going to look like at all. Then, I'm looking at Raphael's oeuvre He's very magical realist in his illustrations. And I thought we can make this fanciful, we can make this playful, so then people can see that there can be, I don't know if you could call it joy in someone dying, but then there can be a warmth. And then there's this promise that these people, they don't go away. They're still with us, and then they still influence our decisions, our patterns of speech, and we can see that their lives had meaning because they touched another person.
Well said, my friend. You should be a writer. Oh my God.
Maybe.
That was author Kevin Maillard and illustrator Rafael López talking about their new children's book, And They Walk On.
That's it for this week on NPR's Book of the Day. If you want more, you can sign up for our newsletter at npr.org/newsletter/books. I'm Tin Bedermias. This podcast is produced by Chloe Weiner and edited by Megan Sullivan. Our founding editor is Petra Mayer. The show elements for this week were produced and edited by Patrick Jaron Watananen, Elena Burnett, John Ketchum, Alejandro Marquez Hanse, Diana Douglas, Samantha Balaban, Michael Radcliffe, Courtney Dorning, and Melissa Gray. Yolanda Sanguini is our executive producer. Thanks so much for listening.
This message comes from Bombas. Your feet hit the ground an average of 2,000 times in a mile. Bombas sports socks are designed to support you every step. Sprint to bombas.com/NPR and use code NPR for 20% off your first purchase. This message comes from MIDI Health, introducing AgeWell, longevity care designed by women for women. Whether you're looking to prevent future health issues or just feel more like yourself, learn more at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.